Ladies and gentlemen, a conversation with Deputy Secretary Eric Hargan and Secretary Robert Wilkie, moderated by Charlie Giroux.
Thank you again, CPAC. As you may have noticed in your program, when this segment was first put together, we had something very different in mind. Secretary Alex Azar was to be our principal guest along with Secretary Wilkie, but as many of you may know, he was called to other duties this afternoon for a very important press conference with the President of the United States. And we all know that's who you're really waiting to hear. But we are delighted to have today with us the Deputy Secretary of HHS, Eric Hargan, who has, got fans, has a distinguished career in that department and who, in addition to other things on his very impressive resume, was a senior fellow at ACU once upon a time. And also joining us today is the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs, Robert Wilkie, who comes from a distinguished military family. His father was a career artillery officer, and he himself is a distinguished officer, a colonel, if I'm not mistaken. And we thank you, sir, for your service. Thank you. And as all of us are very much aware, coronavirus dominates the news. It's why the President and Secretary Azar were on television today. It is the conversation of left, right, and center. So I want to just give you, distinguished experts, the opportunity to tell us where we are now and how people should be regarding and thinking about this epidemic.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And yes, the reason I'm here is actually that there is an ongoing or just recently concluded press conference with the President, the Vice President, Secretary Azar, and a lot of our public health professionals dealing with the coronavirus. The latest is that we have had the first confirmed death in the United States of coronavirus. There are more cases coming into the United States at this point. This is something we've anticipated, and I want everybody to be clear that we have the best public health system in the world. We have great professionals working on this. And frankly, the early aggressive response that was taken under the President's leadership to ban travel by non-citizens from China to the United States bought us precious days and weeks to prepare for this. So the fact that we took this aggressive response, we took it early, meant that we have had time to work with state and local partners to prepare for the disease. We've had time to start on vaccines and therapeutics to address the disease. So all of that has been great. And really, no matter what happens right now, those decisions that were taken, they really look wiser every day in retrospect.
Were there any particularly tough decisions, Secretary?
Yeah, well, I mean, early on, when the decision was made to ban some people, non-citizens, from coming to China, from China to the United States, it was criticized. China was very critical of us for taking this. We took it relatively early, and some countries followed our lead in this case. It was criticized in the United States. Why are we picking on the Chinese? Is this racist? There were all the usual allegations that we have in modern America about these things. But of course, it was a public health-driven decision, and as I say, I think we can all be happy that that decision was made.
Secretary Wilkie, yes, exactly. Secretary Wilkie.
Well, we are the largest healthcare system in the United States. We are constantly preparing, rehearsing for things like hurricanes and earthquakes. So we have been working through this problem for the last weeks since the President began to move so early. It's given us time for a breather, so we do things like check our supply chain, make sure our people are properly prepared. We'll be ready if we are called upon.
The last administration, I'm with them. The last administration believed that government knew what was best and that government control of health care was ultimately in the best interests of the people of the United States. Thank God the Trump administration has taken a radically different view, and they are focused on patient care, patient options, et cetera. So I would like to tell our audience today, if you would please, how both of your departments are carrying out that really important policy shift. Secretary Wilkie.
So let me just say that the President of the United States, this president, was the first candidate to ever put veterans at the center, first of his campaign and then of his administration. No president has ever spoken more eloquently or forcefully than this president has. And part of his philosophy, the philosophy that has unleashed the American economy back to front and center, has been with veterans. We have expanded choice. We have substituted the interests of the bureaucracy of VA with the interests of the veteran. The veteran is at the centerpiece of his health care or her health care. Since the president's signature legislation came online on June 6th, we have sent 2.5 million veterans into the private sector for care that they need when they need it. And this president has finally found a way to keep so many veterans out of the emergency room by offering them for the first time urgent care, so that when they get a cold, when they have the flu, when they have a sprained ankle, they don't go through the trauma of an emergency room. And last thing I will say, because of the title and the focus of this conference, socialism in America will kill the promise that Abraham Lincoln made 155 years ago next week in his second inaugural, the most spiritually righteous address ever given by a president, that we would take care for those who have borne the battle and for the widows and the orphans. If socialism ever comes to America, that sacred promise will be destroyed and our warriors will go to the back of the line. So thank you to President Trump.
Secretary Hargan.
Yeah, you know, and for our part, with the same thing, we've given an emphasis in the healthcare system on really Americans getting more choice and more options in their healthcare rather than fewer. So, for example, in Medicare Advantage now, we just through one change, we got 1,200 more plan options available to seniors. Now, and no surprise, now the premiums are down to the lowest level since 2007. So we got 13 years we've brought the prices down because we've opened more options. That's no surprise to us that that's what's happening. Part D premiums have gone down. The drug premiums for seniors have gone down 13%. These are all achievements, and over $2.6 billion have been saved by America's seniors in the past 3 years alone in the Medicare Advantage program. So these are great achievements for us.
Secretary Wilkie, I just want to ask you real quickly about President Trump's commitment, and it is a huge one, to fighting the opioid crisis. My home state is Pennsylvania. I hail from there, and as you know, that's one of the states that's been hardest hit. And so I know firsthand the tragic and heartbreak of families who have lost loved ones or find those trapped in addiction. How's our progress?
Well, our progress is astronomical. We have reduced the percentage of opioid prescriptions in VA by 51%. But it comes to something that people in an audience like this know. It is about changing the culture. It is about treating the pain instead of the brain. It is about taking warriors and offering them new solutions like yoga and Tai Chi, things that get at the source of their distress. As the son of a combat soldier from Vietnam, if I had told my father after his wounding in Cambodia that we would say, "Sir, we're going to take care of you with yoga and Tai Chi," my nose would have been flat against my face.
He'd have taken care of you.
But that is part of the transformation that we've had under this president, to open the aperture on new thought, open the aperture on choice, and treat veterans where they are and when they need it.
Ladies and that's just such a great answer. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking these two great American leaders for their leadership, for what they're doing, for what President Trump is doing, and for what all of us are doing to keep America great and to keep us from never being a socialist country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take a bow. Thank you.